So this video is going to talk about some of the evidence, the external evidence that Shakespeare was a writer. The I'll do multiple videos on this subject, and this one is starting with Robert Greene's Groat's Worth of Wit, bought with a Millions of Repentance, and that's a 1592 pamphlet. Okay, so this is the section where Shakespeare is mentioned as a writer. Now, Groatsworth was entered into the Stationer's Register September 20th, 1592, and this was roughly 2.5 weeks after Robert Greene's death on September 3rd, 1592. Robert Greene was a playwright, and it's at least at the end of his life, seems to have had a strained relationship with actors or players. Now, in the section here where we have the upstart crow reference, and that's the reference to William Shakespeare, he is disparaging actors. And he calls them preceding the quote about the upstart crow, he mentions them as just puppets that speak from our mouths. So obviously there's the distinction between the actor who is just mouthing the words of the playwright. But yet there is an actor who is an upstart crow. And this upstart crow is William Shakespeare. And an upstart would be someone who is moving up in society, who's trying to better himself. And here with the notion of beautified with our feathers, so we have figurative language there, this upstart crow is trying to make himself more beautiful with the feathers of the writers, of the playwrights. Now, this has been interpreted primarily in two different ways. One, that Shakespeare was taking other people's work and using it as his own, appropriating other playwrights' work and using it as his own, or beautify with our feathers in the sense that he is just trying to move up from an actor to a playwright. So he's trying to move to a different, let's say, class. Now, here, there's a reference to Henry VI, Part 3. So this, along with the later Shakespeare reference, which is obviously a pun on Shakespeare's name, this tiger's heart wrapped in a player's hide is a reference to the play Henry VI, Part 3. So this reference to a tiger's heart wrapped in a player's hide is to Henry VI, Part 3, and the line is a tiger's heart wrapped in a woman's hide. Now, a player's hide would obviously be referring to an actor. So this upstart crow, who is beautified with our feathers, is actually just merely a player, but he's trying to move up in society or within the hierarchy of the theater community. And he has a tiger's heart wrapped in a player's hide. So obviously, as mentioned, this is a reference to Henry VI, Part 3, which scholars believe is most likely written in 1591 and was probably put on the stage in early 1592. So here we have tiger's heart wrapped in a player's hide. Supposes he is well able to bombast out a blank verse. Now, blank verse was where you had unrhymed iambic pentameter, and it's often associated with the work of Christopher Marlowe. And so he thinks that he, a mere actor, is able to write out plays as the best of you. So obviously we have Robert Greene is speaking to other playwrights. Now, this group was later called the University Wits, and these were playwrights on the scene at the time who graduated from university. So here we have is well able to bombast out a blank verse as the best of you, and being an absolute Johannes factotum, a jack of all trades, is in his own conceit, his own arrogance or idea, the only Shakespeare in the country. So he's presented as being arrogant. He thinks he's the best playwright in the country, etc. And then, as mentioned before, the puppets is a reference to the actors. And here he says, "Oh, that I might entreat your rare wits to be employed in more profitable courses and let those apes imitate your past excellence. So don't write for the theater anymore, because these actors are just going to appropriate your work." So this is the reference to William Shakespeare, and this is 1592. And as mentioned, we know here that we have a reference to the play Henry VI, Part 3. Okay, it's as previously mentioned, the play Henry VI, Part 3 is most likely written in 1591. And that's the play that was referred to in the Groatsworth of Wit. Okay, so that line from Groatsworth of Wit, beautified with our feathers, which in another video that I made was later mentioned in Hamlet, when Polonius is speaking to the king and queen and is mentioning the letter that the poem that Hamlet wrote for Ophelia, and mentions beautified is an ill phrase, it's a vile phrase, so that Shakespeare, roughly 9 years later, mentioning that line, beautified with our feathers, from Robert Greene. But the question is, was Robert Greene talking about Shakespeare's being a plagiarist, or was he taking other people, appropriating certain phrases or lines from other people's plays and then using them as his own? And one theory is that the play A Knack to Know a Knave. Now, this play was put on in 1592, and one theory has it that Robert Greene is the author of this play, A Knack to Know a Knave, and the theory has it that William Shakespeare possibly changed a subplot within the text, and because of the change of the subplot, this upset Robert Greene, because we have here an upstart crow beautified with our feathers, and Robert Greene is upset that the actors are appropriating his work, or at least some changing it. There's an implication there. So that is one theory, that Robert Greene is upset that this mere actor, William Shakespeare, changed his work, A Knack to Know a Knave, or at least changed one subplot. That is a theory, and that could explain the beautify with our feathers phrase. But overall, the importance of Groatsworth of Wit cannot be understated, because of the fact that here we have early external verification, 1592, that William Shakespeare was a writer in London, in the London theater, and that he was gaining popularity enough that another playwright would criticize him. And now, obviously, this individual, William Shakespeare, or Shakespeare, is not a fellow aristocrat, is not someone who is part of the university wits, and is denigrated by Robert Greene as being a mere actor, a Johannes Factotum, who is arrogant and who is attempting to rise up. That's the upstart word, and that is attempting to think that he can bombast out blank verse as the best of you, that he is moving out of his position as a mere actor into playwright. So this establishes 1592 that William Shakespeare is a writer in London, and that he is gaining popularity enough that another playwright would criticize him in print.